episode 2, part 8. We are going to be getting back up in here where the old exhaust fan was, pulling it out, wiring the receptacle into that thing, and what are we going to hook up there? The attic. See, from the attic fan cord is just going there into a receptacle in the room, so we have to somehow go all the way through all those cross brackets and find out a good way to fish it through there and pray that we can do it without a lot of cussing and screaming. Now we have this 3-prong 110 outlet, 15 amp that I got from the hardware store yesterday. So it's going to still be on the switch at least for now, and then we may just hardwire it so that it's getting power all the time later. We got our attic fan wire somewhere in the vicinity up to here, so we're just going to take this back off and see if we found the wires. We just got to undo them and put a receptacle on it. And that is tar paper, so we maybe eventually just patch that with either some foam board or another piece of OSB or something and cover that and, get another layer of protection. Okay, so this is so close. It was all within just a few inches of being too short, but we got the plug after pulling it. So we've got the attic fan installed, the wiring. We've got extra insulation in the little holes that, the air holes. Right here, it kind of looks like there's an air hole, but maybe when it's pushed up, it'll close. If not, I'll just put some more in. But I ran out of poly tape to get all the seams, so tomorrow I'll probably have to go to somewhere and get some more poly tape, and maybe I'll be getting the sealing material. This is pretty much going to be a wrap for episode 2. We're going to do the sealing in probably episode 3, and I don't know how many parts that'll be, 1, 2, 3, or whatever. To give a quick recap of what we did throughout this episode 2 of DIO, we're doing it ourselves. We took the old ceiling out because it was wet. We wanted to make sure that the roof wasn't leaking. It was not leaking. It was condensation. Then we did a more proper amount of insulation. It had R13 in it. We added R38 with the R13, so it's got a pretty big amount of insulation in it. Some portions, because of the cross bars and stuff in the rafters or whatever, didn't allow as much of that to go together, and other parts had more than the R48 or whatever. So we're probably talking about between R20 and R70 depending on the section, but we really tried our hardest to get all of anywhere the air could go between the insulation, and of course putting the vapor barrier, the poly vapor barrier up, a 6 mil. We went above the return on the HVAC unit and tried to seal it a little better, and we're going to finish sealing it a little better than that again later. We sealed the old exhaust fan vent area that was just kind of, the indoor air was going into the attic. It wasn't going out of the roof or whatever, but it could still, different humidities, different temperatures are meeting each other, and that could have been a cause for not just losing air, but condensating as well. Got an attic fan, and tried it, just kind of like roughly put over the vent. I wasn't, sure if it was working or making things worse, so I just covered the vent to make sure it wasn't an issue that too much ventilation was causing too much humid air or whatever to come into the attic. I found out that, covering the vent, kind of made it worse. I put the attic fan, in a much better way with I installed it in a lot better way with more boards, and I've tried to block the backflow or whatever of air as much as possible. So I shoved more insulation in on like the air holes, like I said, and then I installed the wiring more permanently by going through the attic and then going, you know, up there on the other side where the laundry room is, and hooking it to the old exhaust vent switch. I took some of the old, some of the the faced insulation where the dew was the worst at, you know, near where the attic fan is blowing the air out, and I unfaced it by taking the paper off. So hopefully that'll, even though there could be condensation, hopefully that'll like limit mold or whatever where that area is. Then I put poly tape on the seams, and I'm not finished. Seams and where a bunch of the staples and all are, just to try to seal it a little bit better. That's probably not going to be perfect, but every little bit helps. Attic baffles and wherever the soffit vents are, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I made 6 of them out of 3 long ones. So basically, when you're pushing so much insulation up there, it was kind of blocking or limiting the airflow. So with the baffles there, you could put the baffle in first, and it has a, you know, like a tunnel where air can come from the attic up higher to the soffit vents down low, and then you can still fill it full of insulation and make it a little bit better. Now we just finished taping it up, all the seams and all of the stapled areas, trying to get it sealed as much as possible, and then we start working on the ceiling and hope for the best. So thank you guys for watching this really long episode 2.